will explain briefly. Thank you. So today's topic that I picked is Prthu Maharaj from the Srimad Bhagavatam. I will explain briefly why I picked this topic, and I think it's personally as it's a great topic. I have to say, getting easier. I keep giving presentations, but it's not getting easier for me. So I really need your blessings and well wishes. I'm nervous all the time, basically. It's not getting easier. I was told that it's getting easier when you do presentations, but I'm always very nervous. Probably because Prthu Maharaj is a very great personality. So it's a very exalted topic. So just the usual things that you may have seen in my presentations, just the presentation style. I personally always find the lineage as an inspiring thing to hear from great personalities, and then finally I will speak about about his life, and then my personal takeaways. Hopefully you will also take away something from this. So presentation style, as always, trying to be authentic to Srila Prabhupada and the Brahmavada Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, so to our tradition. The please formula, so by now you may remember some of these: personal application, how we can apply the things that we learn, what lessons we can learn from from the life of these great personalities. Sometimes we give examples to understand it better, and analogies, and it has to have Shastric connection to remain authentic in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And yeah, sometimes we elaborate on the details as well. So the first thing is lineage.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, I just wanted to ask a quick question, just maybe for your sake.
Yeah.
Do you need, I know you wanted to do this presentation as part of the course or something. Do you need to record what you're doing? Or it is recording.
Oh. I think I didn't want to just start the recording.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for checking. Thank you. That's very kind. So lineage, I think this is something I personally like to speak on when we learn great personalities, and I think you may have seen something like this in Aniruddha Prabhu's presentation, some sort of, or at least he spoke about the lineage of Swayambhuva Manu when he presented that great Mahajan. So Swayambhuva Manu, who is actually coming from Lord Brahma, Lord Brahma is coming from Krishna. So Swayambhuva Manu had 3 daughters and 2 sons. So you can see those numbers are canto numbers and chapter numbers from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So as you can see on the right side, Prthu Maharaj is coming in the lineage of Uttanapad, who was one of the sons of Swayambhuva Manu, and also in the line of Dhruva Maharaj, which is also another famous personality in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Many great lessons learned from him. Even Karma Maharaj was speaking about Dhruva Maharaj in his last messages. So yeah, he's coming in that line. I will elaborate a bit more on his lineage. So his family, his grandfather was Anga Maharaj. Actually, I have some more this time. So yeah, so from Krishna, Brahma comes, then Swayambhuva Manu, Uttanapad, Dhruva Maharaj. Then there is a son from Dhruva Maharaj called Vatsara, and then a few generations, then finally Anga Maharaj. So Anga Maharaj is born in basically Uttanapad and Dhruva Maharaj lineage. And he was a great king. He had a wife called Sunita, and they had a child who was called King Vena. Now, he wasn't such a great king. I think Aniruddha Prabhu already mentioned in his presentation that he was actually a quite a not good king. So he did really bad things in his kingdom, and he was actually Prthu Maharaj's father. And I think Aniruddha Prabhu mentioned this in his presentation, how Prthu Maharaj was born. So he doesn't actually have a mother, so it's not applicable, which is quite unusual. It's very special in Prthu Maharaj's case. So yeah, it's not applicable in his case. He did have a brother called Nisada. And does anyone know? I think anyone would probably know why he doesn't have a mother, why it's not applicable in Prthu Maharaj's case.
Sorry, were you asking about Prthu Maharaj, why he doesn't have a, is that what
Yeah,
question you asked?
Yeah, sorry,
Because I
sorry, I
think
was
he
gonna
was
say,
killed because he was practicing atheism, isn't it? So I think all the people were opposed to it. So all the great sages and everything, they didn't approve of what he did. So I think they did some mantra and they killed him, and it's from his bones Prthu Maharaj came out.
correct. Yeah, that's it. It's very unusual, very interesting story. But yeah, basically, first Nishada, a dwarf, was born from Venus body. Basically, it was by churning. Churning is, I think, legs, if I'm not mistaken. And then finally, after Nishada, Archie and Prthu Maharaj was similar taking birth, or by churning they were born. I think they have formed arms. I'm not 100% sure, but one of them is like the other is arms. And so Prthu Maharaj had 5 sons. Uh, one of them is very famous well, at least one of them is mentioned in the famous pastime, which you may have heard. I will speak about that a little bit more because I think that's one of the things I took away from Prthu Maharaj's story, which is the horse sacrifice, the Ashwamedha Yajna. So his son Vijitaswara was mentioned him briefly in that pastime. And as always, I'm interested in what these names mean. So Prthu Maharaj, the reference I could find is his name means large, great, important, or abundant. So these are all actually very amazing words. So the meaning of Prthu Maharaj's name is also amazing. So yeah, finally coming to his life. So this is so Prthu Maharaj story is explained, his episode is in the 4th canto in the Bhagavatam. It's chapter 15 to 23. It's pretty much from his appearance until his disappearance. And yeah, so I picked Prthu Maharaj because in our course we have to give presentations. We have to give actually 4 presentations all together in this course, in this first 6 canto course of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And actually, I gave a presentation earlier about Sukadev Goswami from the first 2 cantos. So that's something that the Institute accepted. And also from the 3rd canto, I gave Kapila. So now I have to pick something from the 4th canto. And 2 things inspired me really a lot in the 4th canto. One is Prthu Maharaj episode, which is well known by many. But also there was another story of Prachina Barhishat and King Puranjana's allegorical story. But I had to pick one, so I picked Prthu Maharaj's story. Yes, just a second. I haven't checked my notes. So yeah, I will need to give one more presentation from the 5th and 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And I was very much inspired by Geraldine Mataji mentioned it a few meetings ago, Bharat Maharaj. So that might be a potential topic I might explore. But for today, it's Prthu Maharaj. So Prthu Maharaj is not a Mahajan. So far, we have learned that 12 Mahajans. So he's not a Mahajan, but he's actually a Shaktyavesh avatar, which pretty much means that he's like empowered incarnation of Krishna. So he's actually a partial expansion of Krishna. So Shaktyavesh avatar means it's an imparted incarnation of Krishna for a certain potency. And Prthu Maharaj is an empowered incarnation of Krishna for ruling. So he was like a perfect king for ruling the kingdom. Yeah. So right. So that's it. So we did the 12 Mahajans. I think we have one maybe left, but we did the 11 Mahajans. So I thought this was a nice continuation to that. Another great personality. So now I will go into to the actual chapters in the fourth canto. I think I will try to focus mostly on two three main things, but I will briefly mention the other things throughout his life. So I will certainly focus more on the Ashwamedha Yagya because I personally learned a lot from that, and I think that's something you could reflect on. But as everything starts with appearance, so Prthu Maharaj and Archie appeared together from the bones of King Vena in this world, and they were shocked. They were basically imparted incarnations of Krishna. They actually also compared to Lakshmi and Narayan. So Archie representing a partial expansion of Lakshmi Devi and Prithvi Narayan, so Krishna himself. So it's said that no one understands the depth of the sea. So he superficially looked like a very simple person, Prthu Maharaj, but he was a very, very exalted personality. And his rule is basically compared to the depth of and treasure of the sea. But he was very calm, very grave. He always kept his policies and activities and methods of success confidential. Nobody was not knowing in his kingdom what was coming, but like in today's world, for example, we know that disaster usually comes. So unfortunately, that's the harsh reality of today's world. One thing we can be certain that disasters come all the time. But in his kingdom, even though he kept the matters confidential, people were always sure and they trusted him that always something good would come, something nice and something really amazing would come every day in his kingdom, something really great. So he was perfect at money management, for example, and Prabhupada had a purport about that. In this age, where Prthu Maharaj ruled, money was gold basically, so no artificial notes like in today's world, so no inflation and things like that. And still, he was managing the money very nicely, spending it all on Krishna consciousness, the highest good of humanity. He was a real king. So in today's world, the government collects taxes, and they don't actually give so much in return in terms of Krishna consciousness. So king's duty is supposed to be empowering and encouraging and supporting his citizens to execute their duties according to the Varnashram system and to, basically engage in Krishna's service. So he was providing all this for his citizens. So he was actually really eligible to collect taxes. He never used it for sense gratification. He had no lavish standing by using public money and always give it to people in need, when calamities, floods, and such natural phenomena happened. This is not the case in the modern world, of course. So that's why he's such a great personality on one hand. So, so he was very tolerating. He bestowed benefit to people, even when sometimes people misbehaved or mistreated him. Always very forgetful and forgiving, even when people trampled over his head. So it's easy to say beautiful words like this, but actually be like that in reality, that's really hard. And only like pure devotees can do that. It's very difficult to be like that in everyday's life. Right. Yeah. So yeah, I mentioned that he was a Shaktavesha incarnation. So this is when the Lord Krishna expands himself to display a particular power of his opulence. So that's that's the case also with Prthu Maharaj. Um, so Prthu Maharaj was empowered with the power to maintain living beings as a king. Um, yeah, like that. So that's the first chapter in the fourth canto, which deals with Prthu Maharaj's story. So yeah, there are many other Shaktavesha incarnations also coming from Krishna. So, for example, that's also great topics in the future for discussions, in my opinion. At least I'm interested in that. 16th chapter. So the next chapter. So a professional boss started glorifying Prthu Maharaj after his appearance because they predicted that he would be a great king. They predicted the Ashwamedha Yagya that I will briefly mention, the horse sacrifices. They predicted that he would be a great personality. You know, he was bearing all the marks on his palm and so on, which you know, just the incarnations do. So he was. It was evident from these signs that he was the representative. Well, the Shaktaresha incarnation of the supreme personality of Godhead. So the bot started glorifying him. So it's interesting because in today's world, when so-called gurus or kings or government heads, not kings in today's world, but when they get glorified, you know, they get puffed up, they become proud, they abuse the responsibility that they hold. But that was not the case with Prthu Maharaj. He remained very neutral despite any glorification or even vilification. Yeah, it was like the air life force in the body exhibited internally, but still very neutral to these efforts, either to praise or blasphemy. So he didn't actually accept the praise by these professional bards because his main reason was he actually hasn't displayed these qualities yet. So they are yet to come in the future. So he didn't accept this glorification until those beautiful and wonderful qualities are actually manifest. So that again shows his character to me, that we are very eager and very attracted to hear these things, and we get we start feeling very nice, maybe too nice, but he was not like that. So he said actually, well, it was said in this council that praising future activities is like cheating or insult. That's how he felt. Yeah, so in this way, he was showing the proper etiquette to people, to us, to learn from, and how to behave, and how to be like a true leader. Yeah, how to guide his followers, and like that. So he would never take pride or credit himself. He was very humble, very meek, very modest. He was exhibiting humility to a great extent. And the professional boss predicted that at River Saraswati actually. So that you know it's a famous, very famous river. He would perform the Ashwamedha Yagya, the 100 horse sacrifices. And the country where Prthu Maharaj actually resided, they claim that it must have been India because in this particular chapter, it's said that the tract of land is between the river Ganges and Yamuna, and I think some of you are from India, so you can confirm that better than me. But it's basically assumed that it's the place where he resided was India. So this is the second chapter that deals with Prthu Maharaj's life. So then the next chapter speaks about the planet Earth. So Prthu Maharaj did get actually angry But it's, of course, it's a different angle. So what happened basically is there was a scarcity somehow, scarcity of food grains in his kingdom. So the citizens became very skinny due to starvation, and they came before the king because their stomach was drying up due to hunger, and they came to the king for protection, to the king of all the kings. So yeah, they were very, very, very aggrieved, and didn't have enough like food supply. And of course, it's the king's duty to provide for his citizens, to take care of them. So in this way, they came to the king, complaining and asking for King Prthu to help them. So that, yeah. So Prthu Maharaj was contemplating on, because he also didn't understand why it was happening, because he had a perfect kingdom, he was a great king, so why would this happen? So yeah, this was something unknown. So he started contemplating for a while. Does anyone know why this happened in his kingdom? Here is a perfect kingdom with a perfect king. How come that the citizens became skinny and they were starving? Just shout out if anyone knows.
Because Mother Earth thought that the citizens wouldn't take care of her plants properly, so she wouldn't provide food.
Correct, very nice. I didn't think that someone would know that, but it's very nice. Yes, thank you. So basically what happened is King Vena, it comes from King Vena, that King Vena was a cruel king, basically. He was torturing animals, torturing Mother Earth, torturing the Brahmanas, citizens. So in this way, when chiefs and rogues also came to happen more and more, actually the condition on the earth wasn't very good. So because of this, the earth was falling back. So it didn't give proper, so the earth, Mother Earth wasn't treated nicely. So in return, he did not give it back the food grains that she's supposed to. So after deliberate consideration, Prthu Maharaj concluded that it was the root cause was, well, not the root cause, but it's the earth, Mother Earth, which didn't provide. So Prthu Maharaj took up his bow and arrow and aimed it at the earth. Then the Mother Earth saw this. She became very, very much afraid. And he started actually feeling like a deer, followed by a hunter. So, and in this way, he took the shape of a cow. And then she got afraid to run away, basically. And I'm not 100% sure why exactly took the shape of a cow, but I think, as if I read it somewhere, that it's because Mother Earth is basically like a cow, like a mother, yeah, like a mother, basically, like providing us all the necessities in life. So he took up this shape, and she would run in outer space. So it's an interesting pastime as well, like, yeah, running in outer space. Yeah, they could do many things at that time. But anyway, so Prthu Maharaj was chasing Mother Earth. Mother Earth was turning back in helplessness, and she started like begging to Prthu Maharaj, please save me, because you are the protector of all living entities. I'm very poor. I haven't committed any sinful activities. You are anyway the knower of all religious principles. I am a woman, actually. So even if a woman commits any sinful activities, no one should place their hands on her. And also, Prthu Maharaj as a king is the protector of the citizens, the protector of everyone, in fact, affectionate to the poor. So she was praying like this, or begging to Prthu Maharaj like this. And Prthu Maharaj said, well, you disobeyed my order. You accepted the sacrificial offerings, but in return, you haven't produced sufficient food grains. So this is like willfully committing offenses, lost your intelligence, hidden the brains within. So Prthu Maharaj got angry. Obviously, this is transcendental anger, the emotions that we kind of see like in the nectar devotion when we discuss it. So Prthu Maharaja said, your flesh can satisfy the hunger-stricken citizens crying for grains. So yeah, in anger he spoke like that. Yeah. So after that, the earth actually surrendered because she saw that there is no other way. There's no other way. So she offered obeisances to Prthu Maharaj. And yeah. And anyway, there's another story where Krishna saved the earth. Do you know which pastime is that? Anyone? It's an incarnation of Krishna in an animal form. So Lord Varahadev also lifted the earth from the. Yes, that's it. So let's do quick. Yes, that's it. So anyway, the citizens were morose and by not supplying not sufficient grains, but eventually Prthu Maharaj got on his chariot, chased down the earth. The earth started praying to Prthu Maharaj and asked Mother Earth to give to the citizens to milk and everything. So then the next chapter, I will probably speed up because I'm conscious of time. It's actually I'm speaking more than I was planning. Sorry. So yeah, Earth became helpless. Couldn't escape. So she tried to convince Prthu Maharaj not to kill a sinless woman. So yeah, as Tanushree mentioned, yeah, there were unscrupulous people around on the earth just before Prthu Maharaj. So that's why she held back. So she was explaining that due to cruel system and administration in the society. So that's why she wasn't inspired to cause prosperity to the citizens. And so demoniac people used her resources. So that's why she was holding it back. So you can see it's like a transparent communication going on there, which is fair. But Prthu Maharaj was very dharmic, and so Prthu Maharaj became pleased, and then the earth started supplying the necessities of life again. So different personalities came: Swayambhuva, Manu, Brihaspati, Indra, Prahlad, Vasu, Rudra, Garuda, to milk the earth, and they took different things from the earth, whatever they needed for their necessities. And the next chapter, it's actually still the same chapter. So King Prthu is also called as Adiraj, so the original king. This is because actually he leveled the earth. So the earth was very uneven before his rule in different places, rough places, and he broke up the hills with the strength of his bow. And so he established proper cities, towns, and villages. So it is really attributed to Prthu Maharaj. He did these things, and he made certain distinctions and bifurcation of geographical areas. So, we take it for granted, but actually it was originally initiated by Prthu Maharaj that we have towns, villages, and all these things nowadays. So yeah, he really organized the earth in a very proper and nice manner with his great ruling potency. So, and yeah, in this way, when the earth is leveled, there are mountains and rains and the holding of the rains, and which is very, again, important for the plants and so on the surface of the earth. So yeah, that's from this chapter. We'll go to the next one. Okay, so this is the main pastime. I think some of you may have heard, maybe even most of you. Now I think that you are even smarter than I thought. But yeah, it's the main thing. Even before I read the Bhagavatam, I was in my previous mentorship group, and I remember my mentor at the time, Mansudari Prabhu, he was always speaking to me about Prthu Maharaj, And I remember we had a walk in the Regent's Park when I first came to London to meet him, and he was speaking to me a lot about Prthu Maharaj, 99 performing the Ashwamedha Yagya, 100 for sacrifice. So yeah, this is probably I will spend remaining time on this mostly. So yeah, so to become Indra, one has to perform 100 horse sacrifices to occupy Indra's post. To become Brahma, it's actually a lot more. It's 5,000. But this Ashwamedha Yagya is supposed to be a horse sacrifice, and Prthu Maharaj was planning to do 100 horse sacrifice, so 3 digits. And what happened basically is he was doing 1, 2, 5, etc., etc. So he was already so. As the professional bards predicted, this was on the river of Saraswati, where it's flowing in the east at Brahmavarta. It's actually a portion of Punjab and northern India, where this was performed. And so, yeah, in this, Prthu Maharaj started performing this sacrifice, and something happened at 99 horse sacrifices. So you see, that's 99% done, most of the job done, and something suddenly happening, just not to be nice, or seemingly not nice. So Prthu Maharaj performed these sacrifices, but Indra, as mentioned, to be occupy the post of Indra, one has to perform 100 sacrifices. This is not why Prthu Maharaj performed this at all, but Indra started feeling in danger. He basically, his pride came out and manifested, and he started becoming really worried about his position, because this could, if Prthu Maharaj completes the sacrifice, he would actually be as good as Indra. He would become as good as Indra, so he would break Indra's record. And that's how also Indra got his position in the heavenly kingdom. So Indra really wanted to sabotage that. I want to remain better than Prthu Maharaj. And by the way, Prthu Maharaj didn't just perform these sacrifices in quantity, it was also according to quality. So, in those times, animal sacrifices wasn't to eat flesh or so on. It was basically for the rejuvenation of the animals, and by very, very proper mantras. So yeah, it's not something we can do in today's day and age, even though so many try. So anyway, so Indra became very angry, and so he was about to, well, actually Indra came down invisible, and actually he stole the 100 horse. And he started running away. And there was a great sage, Atri, in that assembly, a Brahmana, who said to Prthu Maharaj's son, that someone is stealing the last horse in the sacrifice. So basically, Indra was running away, and Prithu's son got up and he started chasing Indra. But Indra took a attire of 4 sannyas, basically, to be saved, like a dress of sannyas. But it's not really proper. He established this false guruship or false sampradaya lineage, that's the teachings, in this way. But anyway, Indra was running away, and Prithu's son was chasing him, and he actually caught Indra, but then Indra, out of fear, he suddenly again disappeared, and he left the horse behind. So fine, Prthu Maharaj's son took the horse back to the sacrifice, so it seemed like it's going to happen again, and happy end and all that. Not really. That was another thing. So then they started doing the sacrifice again. Indra, still very angry, very puffed up. I really have to stop this. What about my power? And he got frustrated again, and he made like a very dense darkness in the sacrificial arena, and again he came in again in a false attire of a sannyas. He took the horse away. Atri a Brahmana, again realized it, and and um, and basically Prthu Maharaj's son chased him again, who got the name of Vijitasva, because first he took the horse back for the first attempt to steal the horse from Indra. He actually took the horse back, so he was very brave. This is when he got the name Vijitasva. And then again, for the second time, when Indra was trying to again steal the horse, Prthu Maharaj was also, he got actually very angry now, he as well, and he wanted to kill Indra. But then the Brahmanas present in the sacrificial arena, they calmed down Prthu Maharaj that no, they will do something with the power of mantras. So similarly to Vena's case, they were planning to do something with the mantras. So they will throw into the into the sacrificial fire basically by these mantras. But again, sounded like happy end. The villain is punished and finally happy end. And then suddenly, when the Brahmanas were about to start the mantras, they'd already put the oblations in, and Brahma appeared. So then Brahma appeared, and he told them not to do this actually, because Indra will get more nasty. So he already started this false sampradayas, this false Vaishnava attire thing, and he will create more disturbances like that in society. So it's wise that you don't do this. And so I'm just trying to cut it short, conscious of time. There's a lot more to say about this story. But basically, Brahma said 2 digits is fine for you, Prthu Maharaj. Like 3 digit was the original goal, 2 digits are fine. Now imagine that if this happens in our own endeavor, in our personal life, we do a lot of effort to complete something, to achieve something, and just 99% done already, a lot of effort. And then someone says, no, two digits are fine, 99% are fine. I would personally, I would feel like, but yeah, this was the instruction from Brahma. That's stop this, give up this achievement, because for your citizens, because Indra will create more disturbances. He was already in the garb of irreligious principles and so on. So yeah, Brahma was giving this lesson to Prthu Maharaj, and again, it shows Prthu Maharaj's great character, that actually he did surrender. The instruction was harsh, heavy, but he did surrender. He was not stubborn. Indra was stubborn. Indra was the one who not to cooperate. So yeah, so he was adamant. And anyway, Brahma said that by being submissive, gentle, and flexible, he would already achieve anyway what he would achieve with 100 sacrifice, which was meant for the pleasure of Vishnu and the prosperity of the citizens. So the prosperity of the citizens would be anyway achieved by 99 sacrifice, because he would stop from Indra to make more disturbances in society, more false gurus and so on. And it would also please Krishna if he stopped there. I mean, Brahma descended, so like that, he was saying. So it's also very interesting when we have like this conflict. It also shows a good way for conflict resolution if we are like managers, leaders. Sometimes, in this case, Indra would have deserved that the leader goes to him, chastises him, not do this. But a stubborn person just will get more stubborn anyway, so it wouldn't help. So it shows a perfect conflict resolution as well in a conflict. But maybe going to the more humble, more submissive person who is more flexible, it's actually a better way to solve conflicts. So I really need to speed up, sorry, so I'm going to just speed up. So Rama pacified between this way, actually. Vishnu also appeared in the sacrifice because he was very pleased by Prthu Maharaj. And actually, Vishnu came with Indra. He brought Indra with himself, and his son Indra saw that Prthu Maharaj was very, very forgiving, very, like a perfect character. Um, um, Indra was humbled by that, So Indra was feeling good about that, but wow, what a character. So Indra actually fell down at the lotus feet of Prthu Maharaj. And you can see on the photo, actually, Prthu Maharaj didn't even allow Indra to fall down at his lotus feet. He just lifted him up and embraced him out of great affection. And again, very great character, someone who offends us and causes us troubles and still behaving like that. Super inspiring for me. So again, a lot more to be said about this, but I think I need to unfortunately speed up. So in this way, the conflict is resolved, and yeah, it's ended very nicely in the end. Okay, so then Prthu Maharaj returned to his citizens, where he was giving instructions to the citizens, of course, in Varnashram Dharma, the four social and spiritual orders in society, how to live a peaceful life. His speech was very beautiful, very metaphorical language, clearly understandable, very pleasing. His words were brave and certain. He encouraged Varnashram and surrendering onto the lotus feet of Krishna, and render devotional service to him. So after this wonderful speech from Prthu Maharaj, basically, just a second. So after this speech from Prthu Maharaj, they congratulated to the king for his expressing basically their goodwills. And the 22nd chapter, so there are two more chapters. I will just run them through quick. So I think Aniruddha Prabhu might present the four Kumaras, if not yet happened. But yeah, so the four Kumaras also came to meet Prthu Maharaj, because he was such an exalted personality that they wanted to meet him. So four Kumaras, we will hear more details from Aniruddha Prabhu, but they are like four sons of Brahmaji, born from the mind of Brahma, and four Kumaras: Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatan, and Sanat Kumara. So in particular, Sanat Kumara gave a speech to Prthu Maharaj. Sanat Kumara means ever young. But again, in this story, the guest reception is very well presented by Prthu Maharaj, how to receive brahmanas and how to receive guests. So guest reception was again very respectful, and very wonderful. Obviously paying obeisances, washing their lotus feet, sprinkling the water on his head, did the reception very, very nicely and very properly. You may remember from Bhishma Dev was present back in Mohini Mataji. And Bhishma Dev is also a perfect example of guest reception when he was laying on the arrows of death path. Prthu Maharaj is also that. I would love to go into the details, but I'm conscious of time. But yeah, this is he was praising the Kumaras. The Kumaras gave him teachings in return about devotional service, bhakti, and about Krishna. So it was a very saintly association. And mostly Sanat Kumara was speaking, as he was the chief or the oldest amongst the Kumaras. And they were, very impressed with Prthu Maharaj's questions, and he enlightened him. And he received teachings in this way also from them, like he received from our spiritual masters. And I just one very brief story which really touched me when I first read it. It's going to be 2 minutes. Hope you don't mind if I share that. I'm usually not very emotional, but this really touched me. So I was like, when I heard it, I was like, wow. Not trying to make high expectation for the reception of this story, but there was one story that the Education Institute told in one of the classes, So I think it was actually a true story from India. I think it's from around the Botanical village actually. And so there was one young boy in the Gurukul who went to the spiritual master, and he said, "I want to become your disciple. Please give me service. Please give me knowledge." So he was a young boy, and on the first day, he was given the service to collect firewood for sacrifice. This was for his guru, for the sacrifice, and the guru gave him this service. And the young man was, this young boy, he was going to the forest every single day without fear, collecting firewood and bringing it to the spiritual master. So it's very dedicated, very surrendered in that way. He was doing it every day. But one day he was coming back from with the log of wood on his shoulder, and somehow or other he fell, he slipped, and he fell down. And the log of wood also fell with him. And he noticed some white hair, some gray hair on the ground. So he opened his eyes and he saw this and wondering, where is it coming from? Where is it? I mean, I'm a young boy. And finally, he realized that it was coming from his own head. So that means he couldn't realize the passes of so many years, actually even decades. So he came to his spiritual master very young. He got a service. He executed it every day dutifully without even realizing the pass of time. So by doing one simple service, because one very simple service, but doing it so dedicated, he became old by time basically. He didn't even realize that. When I heard the story, I was like, wow, I wish I could experience anything like that, or just a glimpse of it in my life. So, okay, sorry, 2 minutes. I promise I will wrap it up. So, um, at the end of his life, Prthu Maharaj, just as we learned from other personalities, they retired from his family lives and their kingdom. So, he arranged pension for everyone, and he dedicated his sons to earth, and got daughter married, and obviously the citizens were crying, as usual they cry for when such great personalities retire, but he retired his active responsibilities as a king, unlike today's governmental health. We discussed it in some recent sangha. So yeah, he was performing austerities and austerity and penances in his last stage of life, and eventually he loved this word. Again, I would love to go into the details, but we don't have time for that, unfortunately. And after his departure, Queen Archie, his wife, lamented for a while, but stopped that soon, and arranged for the final funeral rites for his husband, and eventually on the top of the hill, and then he also entered the fire to live with his husband after doing all the oblations and so on, taking bath in the river. And this was a glorious departure. So even the demigods came to observe this, how they went back to the spiritual world and onto Vaikuntha airplanes, and we can see Vaikuntha airplanes on this photo. So they went back to the spiritual world, and the demigods were thinking how glorious these two personalities were, and they began to show flowers and funeral well, on the funeral pyre as well, but also as they watched them going up, because the demigods, so they went even higher than the demigods, the spiritual worlds, all that the demigods are were watching and thinking how fortunate and glorious they are. So obviously I noted it down for myself, how it's also reminded me Prthu Maharaj, how he has recently left his body. I watched his last message. Probably some of you, most of you have already watched. It's very, very inspiring, and I was truly inspired by Prthu Maharaj's last message when he said, like, please come quick, just dedicate this one life to Krishna, and we will meet on the other end, and we will celebrate like never before, and come quick, be quick to reunite. And I was like, wow, it's like, ooh, I actually watched it quite a few times. Yeah, very great personality, and then the Kadamba Foundation as well, to his legacy to for his disciples and others. So okay, the takeaways. So this is the ending part of this presentation. So I just wrote a few things. As you can see, it's already many things we can learn, in my opinion. Forgiveness from Prthu Maharaj, how he forgave and enjoyed magnanimity to his citizens, humility, pridelessness. He gave up his pride of 100 sacrifice. Actually, he sacrificed the sacrifice of 100 um, whole sacrifices, and that was greater. He was serving with commitment, he was very chaste, submissive, obedient, surrender, gentle, calm, and humble. Um, so yeah, I actually had a question in my exams about this as well, what we can learn from Prthu Maharaj's character, so I elaborated more on these. But yeah, these things I personally took away from his story. So if we can maybe inspire for acquiring these qualities slowly, baby steps, day by day, and of course the falashruti, the benefit of hearing these stories is that we develop these qualities. It's actually better than the best education that we can get in this material world. No need for, and also very accessible, no need for any degree to have these qualities. So we can talk about these things in a class, but the real thing starts when the class finishes. So at the end is the start, and how much we can apply these principles in life. So I was very much inspired by Prthu Maharaj's life. That's why I also picked his episode. So credit, as always, first and foremost to Satyanarayana Prabhu and Madhu Mataji. Not sure, probably they couldn't make it today. And to my Govardhani village teachers, it's mostly Gauranga Darshan Prabhu, but some others as well. So their classes are just amazing. I can only recommend to everyone either the course or just their classes. And their temple has, even outside these classes, so many videos on YouTube. It's just amazing what comes from there. So with that, that's all I had for today. I'm really sorry that I ran over. And I was probably very passionate about this. So with that, thank you so much for everyone. And I just want to say that Prthu Maharaj ki jai.